I have my game paused for a very good reason. But look at the crowd that's gathered around my entrance right now. This is actually how I would imagine these park entrances at Disney World, Six Flags in the mornings. Once COVID's gone, this is how I imagine park entrances would be like. Just saying. Hiya Borkers, I'm Jalen Fulf and welcome back to Planet Coaster. Last time we were here, we built a very interesting and very approving indeed of the person that whose coaster was based on station building for the White Dragon. If you recall, we used a bit of nostalgia a little bit from a classic PlayStation game from the late 90s. If any of you remember the Spyro the Dragon series, you'll probably understand we used the multicolored gems in that one. And the station building, I wouldn't know how else to incorporate a dragon's den inside a thing with walls. The only other thing I would use was rocks, but I chose a building, because why wouldn't a dragon want a building anyways? Anyway. The other thing I did, the five colored gems, the building, redoing the whole fire was a great thing to do. It increased the prestige enough. Now, in between, I've made a couple of changes. The first thing you will obviously notice if you really took an extra view. Now, the many observant of you would have noticed that at this particular entrance, and I am running this at like 2 or 3 frames a second. Here, let me pause so I can show you. Well, despite the fact that we have a multitude of guests coming into my park, the frame rate when I pause doesn't seem so bad, particularly because we have, well, nothing's moving. It makes it easier for me to work. And that's what I wasn't realizing this whole series, was with all the movement comes the intense lag. So if I go ahead and unpause the game, you can start to notice this thing is chugging like hell. But then when I pause again, my movement picks up again. Yeah, it's basically that. I don't know why I'm at 3 times. I don't know why I'm at 5 times speed anyway. But at the same time, this also comes at a good thing too, because what was once barren path from 4K guests is now full on with the amount of guests that you see right here going through at 17K. My curiosity is how many guests are actually using this part of the park, because this is the most. This is particularly, if you think about it very carefully, this is really a very scenic mall area. I see a lot of guests using it. I see a couple guests using it. But then when I go inside, I know I'm going off track, and I'll get to that later. When I go inside, yeah, the guests are going through. It's not that barren, but when we go in, you can definitely see the change. Holy God. Peeps are actually using it. So I may have made some good progress, yes. But what really irks is the fact that some guests just won't even use certain rides. But that's okay, because the only thing that could be bothersome is the fact that proximity matters. And because these are at the back of the park, they're not going to get that many guests. Which is why I was suggested increased prestige across the park, as well as this Zozo to increase everything. That queue is full as it is now, thanks to the amount. Which also reminds me, every single month I've been losing money at the 100,000s. That is now back down to less than negative. That is back down to less than negative 20. That is back up to less than negative 20,000. mostly because of so many changes in park management. Particularly, I've been charging only for ticket prices, and that was costing me a lot. So what I ended up doing was, instead of doing that, I racked up the price and charged on all my rides except for the transports. So what ended up happening was the high prestige Zozo ended up at a mere $54, and yet peeps still want to ride it. Imagine that. Peeps still want to ride a high price, very nostalgic flat ride. That's amazing. But now on to some other business. I know there's no action coming right now, but I still want to recap what has been going on over the past few, in between sessions. So, if you recall from the last few episodes when I was building this section, you recall that I had a 13-foot/4-meter path over here, and that was back when there was a small spinning wild mouse over here. That wild mouse has since been gone. There was a high spin over here, that is also gone. In place is a replica of Corkscrew from Alton Towers, and to compensate for that, I didn't want guests to be in a crowd in that area, so what I ended up doing was increasing the path size from 4 meters here to roughly 10 meters. It wouldn't be too bad. But also, some major station builds happened along the way. I am going to be doing some station builds off camera as well, particularly because I don't want the series to drag on. We are already on part, 31, 32? Let me check. We are already on part 32 of this series, and I have a lot of rides in my park that need station builds. I do, and particularly because of my transition from YouTube over to Twitch, I do not want the series to drag on. But unfortunately, because of all the extra content that I'm getting out for you guys in between this Planet Coaster series, it's now possible that this series is going to extend into 2022. So, and that's guaranteed, given that I still have to name the rides and color them based off of you guys, which I am going to work on as soon as I'm done with all these station builds. Most of them off camera. So what have I done off camera? Well, if you recall from this station build with the whole monorail here and everything, remember this station building right here with the queue path inside the building? This is the first one of the monorail, and that's not what we built last time. That was from when we first built this monorail. What really matters from the rest of the park comes from the other stations where the rest of the builds happened. Particularly over here at Shuttle Connector, where I still have to work on Queue Path Prestige, of course. Because Queue Path Prestige matters as well in terms of getting the ride up to par. And without it, I have no say in the matter. But relatively speaking, each of these monorails stations are relatively similar to the other building in terms of just the station itself. As for the paths themselves, I couldn't even work on those, so that's kind of a given to say no thanks. But the only difference is that for this particular station in the jungle area, I had to work with something different and decided I want to build with wooden. That reminds me, am I able to color this wooden thing at all? I cannot color it at all. Which makes sense, given that it's supposed to be like wooden log cabin type, and we have to stay natural to the jungle theme. It might not be the actual acacia wood that you see, but it still works. It still works. I mean, I would love to extend it downward. You guys tell me how that should work out down in the comments. I think if the wall were supported by other walls or stilts, then it would work out. The monorail itself is being supported by its own supports, so walls might be beneficial to cover them up. But as far as that's concerned, that's the monorail. There is the other transport ride, the Hotel Shuttle, which starts over on this end, and then works all the way to the other side. Each of those I've dabbed with rough concrete, as well as columns in between. I wanted something with concrete, honestly. It just felt right to me. It just felt right. It just felt like a good reason to just put it on there, even though, if you think about it very carefully, the hotel itself isn't built with that same concrete. It's actually built, if you look carefully, with a couple bits of wood as well as some city windows. That's the blueprint from the Frontier designers. But other than that, that is some of the examples of station builds that I'll be doing off camera. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I would love to get your opinions, but for now, I'm going to continue on with the station builds in camera, and I would love to go in order, but I want to go down here, even though it is high prestige, I want to work on the Zenith. Why? Because it would work. The only thing, though, the only thing that's going to really bug me are these lava lamps hidden within the entrances themselves. Why is it bothering me? I'll tell you why. It's right inside the entrance. So I'm just going to say this. You go by, you're gone, and we'll see how we'll handle you guys later. These are temporarily blue for the time being, only because I wanted something temporary. But again, when you guys get your names on these, I'm open to recolor them as much as possible. It doesn't have to be, well, I could say that if I go into scenery, blueprints, and where is lava? Yeah, the Amori Groovy lava lamps, they were all designed with these different colors in mind. I don't know if I'm able to color them myself, but these were the default 4 that were available to me when the blueprint was out. So you could either use these colors, or we could try to agree on some other color. But even then, feel free to let me know down in the comments. I would love to get your opinions on this. So for the time being... Oh, is this one in the station too? I may as well get rid of this one as well. Bye! So for the time being, let's go ahead and start building the station. And how do we do this? Start building on station grid, why don't you? So, what do I want to use for this? Well, we're working with a launched coaster, and I see a lot of launched coasters. Recall that I did back at the, back on the hotel shuttle, the Part People Mover. Recall that I actually used concrete, rough concrete, on that particular ride. I'm going to explain it right now, and then I'm going to have to hop over to a quick break. I want to work on this with something a little different, maybe some smooth concrete, and I'm going to take some inspiration for this one. I'm going to go to my coasters and work on, if I can actually find the specific one that would be beneficial to me. I probably want something like smooth concrete with red columns. Something like that. Let me go to Steam Workshop and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to try looking up the particular object that I'm looking for, and it's going to be tough to find it, honestly, not going to lie, because the particular one that I'm actually looking for, I actually deleted. But there might be another one in here as well with that same design as well. I'm not entirely sure, but it should be worth the effort of just looking to see. Actually, I did delete it. But the inspiration is actually coming from a branded blueprint called the Duel by Planko Discord user Riddler Revenge 75, who is also a featured creator on Planet Coaster as of this video recording. What he ended up using was, I'm not entirely sure if he actually used smooth concrete, but there are a couple of pieces in there that reflect the concrete nature of the ride itself. But what he also ends up using are red scenery, red column pieces in between the corners, and that's because the ride itself is branded. It is branded based off of the Street Fox coffee brand inside the game. And that's kind of And that's actually kind of beneficial to have. If you really want a racetrack and whatnot, you really got to get some branding to sponsor that racetrack. Imagine, here in America, we have NASCAR. Take that, for example. NASCAR has branded racetracks and races. Take, for example, the, I can't even name any examples right now, because I'm not really a fan of NASCAR, I wouldn't even know. But I'm pretty sure that many other races across the world also use similar branding for their particular races as well. You guys remind me. But for the time being, I'm already set up over here. I've done all I could to replace... Shut up! Anyway, I've done all I could to get rid of the interfering lava lamps. I will come back later, and when I do come back, I'm going to finally, once and for all, take care of this build. So I will catch you guys on the flip side. Okay, so I'm back. Now, like I said, my ideas on this particular coaster reflect, if you go, I'm going to go back to the Hotel Shuttle real quick. If I go back over here and I show you guys the station building itself, recall that I actually used rough concrete in its area. If I go back into the building itself, rough concrete roof flat, and most of the station building itself uses just the rough concrete wall, and then I also use a concrete column. I'm not going to be using the concrete column for this particular station build. I'm instead going to be utilizing a different type of column for this particular build. I think I'm going to be mixing up concrete and panel for this one. Yeah, you gotta love the lag when saving. So, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go ahead and say concrete. You see all these rough concrete? That's what I used for the Hotel Shuttle. I'm going to modify the search, and I'm going to say smooth concrete. Now we get the actual stuff we want. So, what do I end up doing here? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the half arches. Why do I start with the half arches? Particularly to reflect the entrance and the exit of this particular coaster. But now I want to try something a little different. Let's get doors. I want to see... Are these animated doors still even a thing? Are these animated doors still even a thing, or do I have to look at them elsewhere? Wooden double door. Could I search the same thing in scenery, actually? And would that be the same thing? Door? Yes, coaster doors. Planet Coaster. I just have to line this up perfectly. Or should I do a position snap? Let me do a position snap. Or can I... Am I not able to snap to grid? Am I not able to snap to grid? Advanced move? No, not advanced move, please. Align to surface. So what I'm hoping to aim for here, if I really just be extra careful in its placement, then I can actually get this proper. Now the goal here, I'm going to switch then to advanced move. Let me see, use world axes. I want to use relative axes here. So if I did this, right, slowly did that, then when I go over here, I'm going to go in and take care of this. That should, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Although on this side, yeah, I'd actually have to put it just a pixel in. But that would be hard enough, given I'd have to really see how that's going to work. Yeah, there's still a little gap there, and on the other side, it's still like that. Let me go ahead and change it again. So So I want to see... I want to close that gap. It's a trial and error process, but... Do we still have that gap? Do we still have that small gap there? I think we still have that small gap. Let me see. This may take a little bit more trial and error to work on, but I think... If I get close and personal with this, if I get up close, the end result has to be that this piece completely covers that, but I also don't want a little bit of it sticking out this end as well. So it may end up having to just work like... Come on. Come on. Like that? No? Like that? Like... that? Could I possibly... That should work, but which direction does it go in? Activate on trigger. Now that I have a trigger on this thing, let me go back to the actual coaster itself. Let me see triggers. Triggered items. No, that's not how it works. Make trigger sequence. Add trigger. The door to here. Connect object. The door. Confirm. Done. Now I want to see how this works. Oh my god, it doesn't... It rotates a completely different direction. I want it to open the other way. So let me edit building with selected part. I'm actually going to take off the trigger, actually. I'm actually going to take off the trigger. Remove trigger. I may end up eventually playing with triggers at some point, but I think it may end up having to remove trigger. Done. So this opens completely the different direction. I want to go ahead and... Here, advance move. Rotate. No, yes with world axes, actually. Rotate. And we're going to angle snap 45 degrees, because the angle snap, actually, what it does is 1, 2, 3, 4. See? Now we're back in the right direction. That's the way I wanted those doors to open. But now comes the other thing. Here, let me go ahead. I'm going to do this. Let me just take all of this. Is that everything? I want everything attached to it, not... Or I can just build it myself. Smooth concrete. We'll go back to smooth concrete here. Concrete. Oh my god. And then get the half arch back. So my confusion, I need to check this really quick. I wonder, can I color this? I can absolutely color it. Which will also be colored based on you. Whoever gets it. So now what's happened? I'm going to go to, where's the 4 meter wall? Smooth concrete wall 4 meter. There's going to be our wall right here. I will do something to reflect the panels of the Planko door. But for... Oh my god, I just completely butchered their entrance. Didn't I? I'll go ahead and delete this, because that's going to end up being replaced by the arch. an archway, of course. If I could actually find this arch. This one. The square arch. See? Matter of good stuffs. But now I want to try something a little different. Wave. Is there a wavy piece in this one? Roof. Is there like a wavy roof in this one? Or am I just imagining things? I'm trying to figure out... You know, this may be really just a big wow moment here. But just imagine. For a moment here. Just imagine. Something. I don't know what. Here. Is it in one of these buildings here? Is it in one of these particular buildings, or am I just imagining things? I might just be imagining things. I'm sorry. But yeah, really what I want to look forward to is that coaster doors. I want to... Can I not recolor it? I can't recolor it. God damn it. That's okay, though. Panel. And we're going to go to walls, framework, or columns. Tin panel or panel. Oh yeah, this is the exact piece that I want to get into line here. And I think eventually when we get to it, yeah, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and color this a pure red, like this. It might not be the branded red we're after, but we'll see. We'll see. It can be, of course, like I said, it can be recolored. Oh my god, something's stuck in my throat. It can be recolored just as easy from you guys. Whatever you guys decide. Oh, I want my name on this coaster. I want my design on this coaster. The station building can also be recolored based on that. Duplicate. That's going to be duplicated to you, and to you. Now, do I want to include column pieces across the board? I think I'm going to do just that. Give the thing some more decoration, why don't you? This should also reflect the other pieces as well. Now that's not going to fit because we're in the way of the frickin' coaster here. But that should take care of the framework. What do I want to put in for the interior? I think this is something that you guys want to look into yourselves. But what I do want to actually include are, if I actually go through this very carefully, I want to go in and actually include signage. That signage is going to be over in here to say, oh, stay in your seat, prepare for the thrill of a lifetime, something like that. But that's something I'll look into once I get things sorted. But for right now, I need the roof. What kind of roof do I want? Well, the roof that I was imagining, I could not find the exact piece, specifically because I couldn't even... Well, like I said, I couldn't even find the exact piece. The only real thing I could actually look forward to is actually just close the search and actually look for it manually in here. But the problem is there's so many pieces in here that it could take ages. Even if I did this... I'm aware that I can... Oh, wait, no. Molding! Oh my god. Pipe roof molding. Is that the Guys, I think we have found our piece. It's not the roof we're after, but it is worth something. Is that their actual height? Yeah, roof molding, see? Roof molding. I want a long roof molding, though. Do we have a long, flat roof molding? Let me go into molding. Because that's what we're after, is the molding pieces. If I go in here... Yeah, see that? That could be the exact piece that I was after all along. But the supports were actually there just to support the whole thing on its own. But is that... Yes, it is. Okay. It is the thing I was after. So yes, I can still use this. Just in the right nick of time. I love it. I love it. But the cost of it, too, comes the loss of this support. So... Then if I do this... I don't want pipe roof molding, I just want this molding right here. If I go back to the exact same height I was in earlier, like that. That takes care of that. But then I want the sloped piece now to potentially reflect this side of things. So how does that connect? Like this? That might be a bit too high, but we'll have to see. We will have to see once things get sorted. So I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, even. Pipe roof molding high curve. The reason why I'm going to do pipes... Or can I do it on the end piece? I can definitely do it on the end piece for sure. But at the cost of this, I have to do some framework at the top here. I really have to do some framework with the molding. Because there is a piece that connects everything together. If you think about it very carefully. So if I did pipe roof molding low curve again, and then put the piece back down to the level I want, like right there, put that there, pipe roof molding low slope, put that onto these two sides, and if I can get that correctly, that would be nice. And then finally we get the roof molding high curve. But that's short pipes that practically need the supports anyway. So I do want to include those pipes. I will absolutely have to include those. Now, there is a flat roof molding that can connect everything all together. I'll first have to connect the bottom. Like, if I did this. So that connects like that. And then if I go back up here and connect like this. That connects like that. Now how about the vertical molding? Does that affect anything at all, or... Oh, that's not on a grid. That is not on the grid. Oh my god. How about pipe? What do we do with pipe? Ah, see, pipe support vertical. There we go. That's what we're after. I think the 2-meter one to start, just so it could cover these bits here. Is that the right height? That is indeed the right height. But now I need to cover this section here. And then we do a 4-meter vertical here. That's not going to cover that, so I'll have to go back to the 2-meter for the second part of that piece. Oh, that's a base. So yeah, if I did vertical base 2-meter on both of these. Or actually, you don't even need bases, because if you think about it... Yeah, the stuff over here isn't actually supported by bases. The bases are only needed, for example, if we actually need to include it on top of something like the station station itself. We're on top of a wall here, which actually, I think it can support itself, if I'm not mistaken. So we can probably work with this. We can definitely work with this. So let's use that. And then I'm actually going to include it here too, because just to save time when we click 4 meter. Because that connects like that, and that connects like that. There you go. But now, to connect everything all together is going to be another story in itself. I will have to connect like this. See that? That's how you cover things. But now how to cover the roof. Curved. If I did all, and see what kind of curviness happens with the roof here, even if there is some sort of roof, for example. Oh yeah, steel roof, low curve, steel roof, high curve. I could use steel to cover the rest of this. Like, see here. Like this, if I did this very carefully, it should blend in like so. And then I did that, and then this. Although that doesn't that practically make this useless? Doesn't that practically make the whole thing useless in itself? I mean, what I could do is I could keep some, if not all, of those moldings. Replace this, this, and this, and just work with... Like, now I'm going to change my search to steel, because we're working with the steel roofs. Yeah, see how there's no slope there? I can then use low curve to cover this part right here. But really, though, what would be done here is we're covering this piece right here. And then at the same time, we'll be covering this section right here. If I'm careful with it, like that, and then like, not like that, like there. But now I need to go back and do some deletions. Because with the addition of the steel curve and slope, it comes at a cost, right? Because the addition of the stuff itself is going to really bring a beneficial side of things to our... Oh my god, did I really? Here, let me do a different thing. Let me clear this. Take this. Oh god, that's not going to do well. Let me just get this instead. Hold on. This should not cover that. Wait. If I can then get rid of all of this. Yeah, that's gone. Because the roof's covering that. If I can then get rid of that, that, that. The in-betweens of... How in the fuck? Unless that's not part of... Huh. What shouldn't be in this? This, that, 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 that. And the roof itself. What else is in here that shouldn't be? Oh, this wall. There we go. That section itself is also gone. And that should easily cover that whole section. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So that completely covers the roof, right? Right. Now, about the actual slopes itself, let me go back and redo the building. Edit building with selected part. Back to the concrete walls for a sec. I know this may mean that the columns might not be feasible, but is the slope enough to cover this section? If not, then I know that at least I tried. It is. It is. So we can work with this, even if the columns are just useless now. But wait, did I used rough concrete. Oh, God. Here, I'm going to do a thing. Back to smooth concrete. Instead of working with those, right? What I'm going to instead do is work like this. Imagine. Instead of utilizing these different vertical supports, instead of utilizing these, get rid of these, we can instead replace those specifically with the smooth concrete wall that we were using after all. Now, what does that mean? You know what? Control-Z all that. I have a better plan. I'm going to actually get rid of these three. These ones in particular. We're going to add a pattern to this. And watch me. Watch me very carefully. And this also means some of these beams are actually going to have to go because I'm going to replace them. Don't mind me. I'm going to replace them. But it also means that these beams are going to have to go. So demolish all those, right? This beam I can just go ahead and duplicate because that can go here in place of with a wall in place to cover that. And then over here to cover that. I'm going to try to be unique with this. So let me go ahead and duplicate this. That goes like that, like that. But now I wonder something. I wonder if this type of wall will work here. I may have to work with a 2-meter version of that. Like put that here, for example. And then we use a particular 2-meter slope, which should, if I recall, cover. On second thought, that's not going to cover it. That's a low slope. I want a high slope like this. Like that. See that? That's the slope I want. Of all the times that I could go dumb just by looking at all of that. Hold on a minute. If I go back... Is that a glitch? Is that a bug in the system? To have a corner of that wall missing? Is that a bug that I'm not aware of? That has to be some sort of bug. Smooth concrete wall, yeah. That's gotta be some sort of bug. I mean, it's not really a pain in the ass, but it should work. Now oh, that's a low curved steel roof. Gotcha, gotcha. Oh, that's a roof molding. What happens if I delete it? Oh, the roof covers it and it has an edge. Okay, so that works. We can do the exact same thing to the roof moldings up here, and the steel should cover that. There we go. At the same time, I can also do the same thing here. Not select the roof, and there you go. Easy, right? Right. It is still a bit awkward with those roofs at the very back. I mean, sure, we have the bug of, oh, there's a corner piece missing, but isn't that acceptable in some standard? If I'm not mistaken, isn't that acceptable in some format? Like, I don't want to ruin anybody's day here, but wouldn't it be acceptable in this condition? Or would you guys rather see me actually utilizing the walls as they meant to be? And with the same thing with the open rooftop here. Like, let me see this. Curved. And we're going back to roofs here. Can I get, like, a glass curvy roof? Like, that's not going to work. I cannot get glass on this thing. Glass doesn't curve, unless you actually blow it. In which case, it's not going to work in here. But does that cost me in terms of QPath prestige? 100% QPath prestige, it doesn't matter. What I do want to include, however, is... are there checkered flag scenery around here? Flag. Is there a checkered flag somewhere? Checker. It's not really a race. It's not really a race. I could go ahead and add a sign here. Editable. Like, I could add an editable sign here. Like an archway of sorts. Or... path extras, no. Art shapes, no. Audio, special effects, sequencers and tools, screens, path extras. X out of that. Props. Signs and advertising. Need some sort of classic sign that I can work with. Wait a minute. Where's the editable section? Like, classical archway large, what does that do? What does that do? Let's make it small and see what happens. Okay, that's not going to help me. What exactly am I looking for here? Text. Custom. Edit. No, what the frig? I thought we had, unless it's in building and I'm missing it? Sign. All. Sign. Oh my god, wall signs. I was completely missing it in building this whole time. Edit building with selected part. Edit. Yeah, editable sign. Horizontal rectangle 1 lit. Large lit. Is that the front of it? Let me see. Hold on tight. It's I could do a smaller rectangle underneath to say it's gonna be fast. God damn it, if I could just make it... It's gonna be Really? It's gonna be fast. But I want the font to change on this. What could we use? Not oregano. Orbitron sounds more sci-fi-y. Racing sounds nice, but what does racing look like? Oh my god, that look... Yeah, I could definitely work with that. I can definitely work with that kind of text. But I want to see what the others look like. Ranchers looks like nothing. Antica... Maguntia... That's more fancy. I'll stick with racing on both. And let's put a ... on the larger one. But this one in front just doesn't look right. You think? Here. Let me move it. I want to see if I can put it like underneath. Or right here. Right here. There we go. So now how about that text, why don't you? Text color. Classic red. Or should I go with... Let's go with the yellow. What does the yellow give me? Okay. And then let's put black to go like that. And then for the actual thing itself, we put that and then white. Sure. But I also want to copy that to this. So that would mean going like that for the text, this for the text, and double this for that. That's temporary, because like I said, this is all going to be recolored. Should you choose to have it recolored, after you guys, if you decide you want this as your ride. Now, this is only but one of many different builds that we can work with. And I am excited to see how this works. Furthermore, I'm excited to see how it affects the prestige. So, if it'll take a while, I'll go ahead and let this laggy 1 FPS work its way through. I'm done with the builds for now. And once it gets back into the station, we'll get the final prestige from the station build itself. But as many of you are no doubt aware, I did also set ticket prices on all of my rides in lieu of getting rid of the entrance fee, because I was losing cost. Okay, so we're back up, but slowly. It's small, but it's worth. I do want to also include some signage out here as well, but that's also going to be when we name the coaster. But that's also going to be naming the coaster after you guys as well, so... You're not only getting naming, but you're not only getting naming rights, but you're also getting color rights as well, pertaining to like your sonas if you have it, or maybe even some extra scenery if you want that. That's going to be a good thing. So I will get to that when I get the chance, but this is only one of potentially two more. This is only one. I'm going to do 2 more station builds as I go on. Maybe 2 more. We'll have to see as I go. But for now, that's going to do it for today's episode of Planet Coaster. Let me go ahead and pause so I can actually get my frame rates back. There are some things that I want to do to this park that really is going to make this place shine. We're already at 18K guests as it is from getting rid of that limit, and it's only going to grow. I do want to put scenery back over here, possibly even a ride if there's room, and if not, I definitely have enough room on this end for a potential ride. We'll see how that works out. I've gone through my workshop and have determined that this thriller ride might not be beneficial after all. It is kind of all over the place when compared to other majestic... Back to my coasters real quick. Is it majestic? Is it the Magnificent Rides? The other stuff that use the Magnificent Rides collection. What could I possibly build here that could be beneficial? That could probably be my off-camera thing for next time. Also, off-camera, I do want to start putting some more station builds as well. So you're going to see me put more station builds in future episodes as well. I just got to remind myself to do all of that. So for the time being, this is a very big one, and indeed a very big one. Is it too big? I don't know, but feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of this one. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching this episode. If you like what you saw, leave a like, post your comments, hit subscribe to the notification bell, share this video with your friends, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until next time!